The most powerful man in the ancient world had absolutely no idea what artificial intelligence was. Yet, 2,000 years ago, he wrote the exact manual on how you can survive it. In his private journal, written by the flickering light of an oil lamp during brutal wars and devastating pandemics, he formulated timeless principles for handling total, paralyzing uncertainty. In this video, you will learn 3 specific Stoic strategies that will instantly neutralize your anxiety about AI, automation, and the terrifying unpredictability of the future job market. We'll start by applying the dichotomy of control to an algorithm-driven world. Then, we'll use Premeditatio Malorum to bulletproof your career. And finally, we'll finish with how to build the one thing that AI can never copy: your inner citadel. Nearly 2 millennia ago, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus laid down a rule that is more relevant today than ever before. He taught us to ruthlessly separate what we can control from what we cannot. Right now, you are likely agonizing over things entirely outside your sphere of influence. You cannot control when the next, more advanced AI model is released to the public. You cannot control if your company's board of directors decides to automate your entire department to cut costs. And you certainly cannot control the macroeconomic shifts happening globally. But here is what you absolutely can control: your adaptability, your daily reaction to the news, and your willingness to learn new tools. When you focus your energy on the storm outside, you feel helpless. When you focus on the sphere inside, you regain your power. Think about your evening routine. Every time you lie in bed and doom scroll through sensationalist articles about AI replacing your specific job, you are actively choosing to suffer before it is necessary. Seneca, another great Stoic, warned us about this exact psychological trap. He wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The tech algorithms are literally designed to feed on your anxiety. They prioritize fear because fear keeps you clicking. But Stoicism offers a way to starve that algorithm. By recognizing that your anxiety is a product of your imagination projecting into a future that hasn't happened yet, you can pull your mind back to the present moment. The present is the only place where you actually have any agency. To truly understand this, the Stoics used the beautiful metaphor of the archer. Imagine you are an archer preparing to shoot. You have complete control over how much you practice, how you stand, how you breathe, and how carefully you aim. But the exact millisecond the arrow leaves the bowstring, your control drops to 0. A sudden gust of wind could blow it off course. The target could move. In the modern economy, the wind is the algorithm, and the target is your career trajectory. If you tie your self-worth and your peace of mind to the outcome, whether you get the promotion or keep the job, you will live in a constant state of anxiety. You must tie your self-worth entirely to the effort of drawing the bow. So, what does this look like in practice? Your task isn't to outsmart the artificial intelligence. Your task is to focus entirely on your own inputs. Dedicate an hour a day to learning how to use these new tools rather than fearing them. Network with human beings. Build uniquely human skills like complex problem solving, emotional intelligence, and strategic leadership. Let the massive tech companies fight their trillion-dollar wars over which language model is slightly faster. That is the wind. You are the archer. You focus on becoming the most adaptable, resilient, and skilled version of yourself. When you master the dichotomy of control, the anxiety of the modern economy simply evaporates, replaced by a quiet, focused determination. Let's confront the elephant in the room. What is your absolute worst-case scenario? Is it losing your job? Is it waking up one morning to find that your entire industry has been automated overnight, rendering your degree and your years of experience seemingly useless? Most people spend their entire lives running away from these terrifying thoughts. burying them under distractions and toxic positivity. But the Stoics took the exact opposite approach. They didn't hide from their fears. They actively visualized them. They looked their deepest, darkest anxieties straight in the eye, because they understood a fundamental truth about human psychology. A fear that remains vague and undefined will haunt you forever. But a fear that is clearly defined can be managed, planned for, and ultimately defeated. This ancient practice is called Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. It sounds pessimistic, but it is actually the ultimate tool for generating profound optimism. Here is how you do it. Sit down in a quiet room, close your eyes, and imagine that the worst-case scenario has actually happened. Imagine your boss calling you in to say you've been replaced by software. Imagine packing up your desk. Imagine the uncomfortable conversations with your family. By imagining this catastrophe in vivid, excruciating detail, you do something magical. You strip the fear of its power over you. You take the monster out from under the bed and look at it in the daylight. And when you do, you realize something incredibly empowering. You realize that even if the absolute worst happens, you will still be standing. If you lose your job to AI tomorrow, you will not lose your mind. You will not lose your character, your work ethic, or your ability to reason. You will still have your health, your relationships, and your capacity to learn. You will realize that the catastrophe you spent sleepless nights fearing is, in reality, entirely survivable. In fact, for many people, losing a job that was destined to be automated is the exact push they needed to start a business, change careers, or pursue a path they actually care about. The worst-case scenario isn't the end of your life. It is simply the beginning of a new chapter. By accepting the worst-case scenario before it even happens, you free up massive amounts of mental energy. You are no longer paralyzed by the what-ifs. You stop acting out of a place of defensive fear, and you start acting out of a place of offensive strategy. You become proactive instead of reactive. You might start updating your resume today, or taking a weekend course in a new field. Not because you are terrified, but because you are prepared. Premeditatio Malorum transforms you from a fragile employee, hoping the future doesn't notice them, into a resilient professional who is ready for whatever the economy throws their way. You have already survived the worst in your mind. Reality is easy by comparison. This brings us to the ultimate goal of Stoic philosophy, a concept famously championed by Marcus Aurelius, the Inner Citadel. The emperor believed that every person has the capacity to build an impenetrable fortress within their own mind, a place of absolute stillness and rational thought that no external event can breach. In today's context, your inner citadel is a place that no algorithm, no sudden layoff, and no technological revolution can penetrate. It is a fortress built not on your job title or your salary, but on your virtue, your discipline, and your self-awareness. When the economy crashes or your industry is disrupted, the people who have tied their identity to their external circumstances will crumble. But the person with a strong inner citadel remains unshaken. We spend so much time worrying about what AI can do that we forget to value what it cannot do. Yes, artificial intelligence can write functional code, generate stunning images, and analyze massive data sets in seconds. But it cannot replicate genuine human empathy. It cannot exercise moral judgment in a complex ethical crisis. It cannot look a grieving colleague in the eye and offer real comfort. It cannot demonstrate the courage required to lead a team through a terrifying period of uncertainty. These deeply human traits are the bricks of your inner citadel. Instead of trying to compete with machines on efficiency and data processing, you must double down on what makes you fundamentally human. That is where your true, unautomatable value lies. It is crucial to understand that Marcus Aurelius didn't use his philosophy to retreat from the world. He used it to lead the world through chaos. Your inner citadel isn't a place to hide from the AI revolution. It's a command center from which you lead others through it. When your coworkers are panicking about the latest tech news, you remain the calm center of the storm. You become the person others look to for stability. Because you have practiced negative visualization, and because you understand what is actually in your control, you can offer clear, rational guidance when everyone else is reacting emotionally. This kind of grounded, philosophical leadership is incredibly rare, and it is highly rewarded in any economy. The truth is, the economy will always change. The tools we use to do our jobs will always evolve, sometimes at a terrifying pace. But the person who has mastered their own mind will always be indispensable. You are not obsolete. You are not being replaced. You are simply being challenged to evolve, to shed the mechanical parts of your job, and to step into a more profoundly human role. By embracing the dichotomy of control, practicing the premeditation of evils, and building your inner citadel, you transform anxiety into armor. You stop being a victim of the future, and you become its architect. The AI revolution isn't the end of your story. If you apply these ancient principles, it is just the beginning. So, the next time you read a terrifying headline about AI taking over the world, take a deep breath and remember the Stoics. Focus entirely on your own inputs. Prepare your mind for the worst-case scenario so it loses its power over you. And focus on building your inner citadel by doubling down on your uniquely human skills. Technology changes rapidly, but human nature remains exactly the same. Which of these 3 Stoic principles do you need most in your life right now to handle your career anxiety? Let me know down in the comments below. If you found value in this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more ancient wisdom applied to our modern problems. Until next time, stay stoic.